We reported yesterday that the federal government discovered that toxic chemicals may be seeping into milk packaged in bleached cardboard containers. Kempton Matt, the president of the National Dairy Council, says Canada's dairy industry will eliminate such cartons by next year. Matt says he has been told that a carton free of contaminants will be available in a matter of months. And he added, quote, "Federal scientists have assured us the product is safe, but we do not want any contaminants in milk." Well, this summer's drought hurt crops across North America, but it's also reduced the drive for reforms in world agricultural trade. That's the opinion of Terry Daynard, the Executive Vice President of the Ontario Corn Producers Association. Speaking at a meeting of the Canada Grains Council on Tuesday, Daynard said Europe and Japan are saying they need to continue protecting their farmers now because North America has proven itself to be an unreliable supplier. Canada and the United States have been pushing for an agriculture trade code under the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, that's GATT, which referees commerce among its 94 member countries. The code would limit the use of subsidies that Europe and Japan say their farmers need and will continue to need. That's it for Agri-News. Stay with us for Noon Edition. I'm Ross Daly. So long.
Thursday, October 27th, FYI, Noon Edition.
Fuss over hiring of PUC Commissioner's son. Fontana named in land deal controversy. And Broadbent attacks free trade while in London. Good afternoon, I'm Julie Sandelin. In the news, former PUC chairman and current candidate for Board of Control, Bob Howard, says he didn't know anything about it. An internal PUC memorandum instructed one of the commissioner's supervisors to hire Howard's son. Howard said this morning that he didn't know what all the fuss was about. He says it's not uncommon for the children of commissioners or city councilors to be hired by the PUC for the summer.
I was not aware of it at all. The first I heard about a memo was through Tony Hodgson of the Free Press yesterday. I don't see any problem with that either. I know that I never directed anybody to hire my son. I would have preferred my son would have worked with Kelly's this summer. He chose to work for the PUC. Again, that was his choice. He could have made more money working for me than he did at the PUC because it has to remind he worked for minimum wage. I will say this, he had a good time at the PUC and he enjoyed himself there. I think, again, this will probably disturb Bobby a bit today because he won't understand what's all the furor over this. He'll be very careful what he does now because his dad happens to be Bob Howard. But again, I think the story itself was a fairly accurate story. I think the headline was not warranted and the front page of the newspaper wasn't warranted.
Joe Fontana has denied land flip allegations made yesterday by MPP Alan Pope. Pope, an MPP from Northern Ontario and a former candidate for the Conservative leadership, claimed that Fontana used his Liberal connections to make a quick profit in a land flip deal. Fontana is the federal Liberal candidate in London East. Fontana says he is part owner of a property management company and advised one of his partners on assembling land for a townhouse development in Timmins. But Fontana sees no connection with the land deal and Alan Pope's accusation.
As you know, he is a Conservative. He is a leader, leadership hopeful, and we are in the middle of a federal election campaign. I don't know why he would do that. His information is wrong, and it really surprises me because I know Alan, and he's a lawyer, and he should know better than just to fly off the handle with this kind of information.
What does this do to your campaign?
Nothing whatsoever. I mean, I'm not sure that this will affect my campaign in any way, shape, or form. I have done absolutely nothing wrong. I didn't own the land. I didn't sell the land. I will continue to campaign. I think we've got a good campaign going, and I believe we can still win.
As a result of the accusations made by Pope, Fontana stayed off the campaign trail in London East last night. About 10 young campaigners armed with leaflets went out knocking on doors without their candidate. Fairness will be the key in Ontario's new consumer protection laws. That's the word from the government as it begins to overhaul the system. At the center of changes is a new consumer protection code, which will simplify the laws. Consumer Minister Bill Rye is on a multi-city tour of business meetings seeking input on the changes. A Mount Forest man has been sentenced to life in prison for the murder of an 8-year-old Mount Forest girl. Brian Dahmer pleaded guilty in Supreme Court yesterday to first-degree murder in the death of Aaron Burkholder last July. His lawyer said he changed his plea because he said he couldn't live with himself and he didn't want to bring any more pain. The candidates for mayor and board of control faced another all-candidates meeting last night, and a number of issues stood out. Only 2 of the 4 mayoralty candidates showed up at Saunders Secondary School. Stuart Wright and Stunning Bentley were absent. The biggest reaction from the largely female crowd came when Agnes Shaw Cowan, who's running for mayor, suggested the implementation of a municipal sex bylaw. All were agreed on the importance of a performing arts centre and a convention centre for London, and most of the candidates backed the planned aquatic centre. Pollster Angus Reid says TV debates have radically altered the likely outcome of the November 21st federal election. Reid says John Turner put on such a good show that the Liberals are now much stronger and a Conservative majority is in doubt. Meantime, NDP leader Ed Broadbent got a hearty welcome in London last night, the only time he'll be in the city. Broadbent took the opportunity to cut into Brian Mulroney over free trade and for what he calls selling out a Canadian tradition of social justice.
Ed Broadbent called it the largest NDP rally ever in London, and despite the area's current reputation as a bastion of Big C conservatism, he predicted it will elect an NDP member this time around. Certainly the large and vocal crowd demonstrated there are voters around here who believe him when he says the NDP is all about fairness for the average Canadian. And Broadbent kept those supporters whipped up with some zingers right off the top of his speech.
The New Democratic Party has been going constantly up, and I can tell you after last night's debate, the government and the Prime Minister are going to be going down, and we're going up even higher. This election fundamentally is about stopping Brian Mulroney from making Canadians second-class citizens in their own country.
Broadbent accused Mulroney of gambling away the future of Canada with a free trade deal which isn't a simple commercial agreement, rather a sellout of cherished Canadian traditions which make us different from Americans and which have given birth to Medicare and Social Security policies which don't distinguish between rich and poor. Policies which Broadbent said are light years ahead of the U.S. John Lees, TV London News.
Results from yesterday's elections in South Africa show the ruling National Party has won control of major cities in that radically divided nation. Candidates who favor more radical segregation captured much of the nation's heartland. Canada has won a prestigious seat on the United Nations Security Council. Yves Fortier, Canada's ambassador to the UN, says winning the 2-year term is a vote of confidence in Canada's future with the world body. The Security Council deals with international crises. The president of the Philippines says 1 term in the position is enough. Corazon Aquino says she won't run for re-election in 1992. She says her time in office, which began in 1986, has taught her that reforming the country is a slow process. A new provincial report suggests that abuse among the elderly is growing and that the province's senior citizens need an advocate. The Globe and Mail says the Fram Commission report recommends the province appoint a public guardian to look into reports of abuse of the elderly and to protect those who are mentally incapable of looking after themselves. The report stems from concerns of advocacy groups and families. Private home daycare. If you live in London, chances are you may never have heard of it. However, 79 agencies across the province and close to 5,000 private homes are involved in this government-sponsored alternative to an unlicensed babysitter or a large daycare center. Today and tomorrow, the association representing them is holding a conference at the Holiday Inn here in London.
It's not kids' play, keeping kids happy and healthy in a home away from home. That's why over 300 caretakers, parents, volunteers, and agency workers from all over the province are in London to share experiences and learn how they can do a better job. They're part of a growing network of people involved in providing daycare in private homes for no more than 5 kids at a time. They see themselves as caring professionals, providing a service which is both regulated and regularly inspected. which provides a flexible alternative for working parents.
It can suit your hours. It can suit part-time working parents. It can suit some parents who are working shift hours. It also is a preference for a number of parents with infant care, where they really prefer that their child not be in a more institutionalized setting and in a small home with one or two other children.
There are only about 100 homes and 2 agencies in London involved in private home daycare, and there's no city involvement at all.
Some communities would know much more about private home daycare than the City of London.
Any theories why London doesn't?
Not being from London, I'm really not sure. It must have something to do with perhaps the political climate. I don't really know.
Nor does Marion know how many working parents in London leave their kids with babysitters simply because they have no other choice, although she suspects there's a lot. John Lees, TV London News.
Group homes are often controversial. Seldom are they received with open arms by society. Most often, group homes have to earn a community support. Several group home representatives hope to do just that with a declaration by the city of Group Home Appreciation Week. That declaration by Mayor Tom Gosnell praised group homes for developing a social conscience in our community.
And whereas these group homes recognize and respond to legitimate community concerns while serving the needs of a widely diversified client base, whereas the London area group homes wish to continue their positive involvement in the life of our community, therefore I, Tom Gosnell, Mayor of the City of London, do hereby proclaim Sunday, October 30th through Saturday, November the 5th, 88 as Group Home Appreciation Week in the City of London.
Coming up, some good news for the trapped whales in Alaska, and Joe has our weather forecast with a little sunshine. Don't go away.
When you're bouncing around town, you don't have to skip your serving of vegetables. V8 Vegetable Cocktail. Vegetables to go.
Soup-O Bingo. Campbell's Soup-O Bingo. Collect Campbell's soup labels for Shell gas savings and a chance to win a GM Grand Am. Get your bingo card in store.
I'll pick you up after the practice, honey.
Thanks, Dad.
Oh, you're welcome.
Few of us reach our goals without support. Through the Petro-Canada Torch Legacy Fund, promising athletes and coaches can continue their education and training. Every time you purchase a Legacy glass, you keep the spirit alive, and you help young Canadians do their best to make us proud.
The Chevrolet Cavalier is the best-selling car in the country.
Hey, Tom. Morning, Tom. Oh, hi, Dick. Hi. Tom. Hi, I'm Dick.
And from $10,148, it's not hard to see why.
Dick? Dick. Hey, Tom. Dick. Oh, hi, Dick. Hi, Tom. Hey, Tom.
Ask any Tom, Dick, or...
Tom. Yeah, Dick? Where's Harry?
Well, you know.
Who's Harry?
Chevrolet, the world's most successful cars.
After 3 weeks, it's a happy ending for 2 California gray whales. The whales were stranded in ice off Barrow, Alaska, but 2 Soviet icebreakers created a path to open water, and the whales wasted no time heading off to their winter breeding grounds off Mexico.
Scientists say 2 California grays trapped for almost 3 weeks are on their way to freedom. Exhausted and excited scientists say their task is complete.
I think the job's done now. I think we're going to wake up in the morning and those whales are going to be gone. And I just haven't planned beyond that. I've always publicly told people in the media that I felt it was primarily our job to get these gray whales into an area that would lead them to their normal migratory path I feel that we've accomplished that.
For 20 days, the whales had been bobbing up and down in a series of air holes carved in the Arctic ice by teams of Barrow Eskimos. On Wednesday, the Soviet ice-breaking cargo ship Vladimir Arseniev broke through a thick ice wall and came to within 300 yards of the whales. When the ship turned and retreated out its own channel, the whales ducked under the ice in between and began to follow the ships out. But ships break ice, they do not clear it, and the whales encountered huge icebergs. For a moment, it appeared the whales would retreat, that they had no place to go. But scientists say the wind is opening up large areas of open water in the channel. The whales, which had been feeding in the area, may wind up staying around a few more days. The whales became trapped in the ice when they stayed too long in the rich Arctic feeding grounds. An early freeze brought a layer of ice over, and they wound up poking their heads out of two small holes. They were discovered by Eskimo hunters, and soon their cause became a worldwide concern, which involved dozens of public and private agencies and hundreds of volunteers. If the rest of the whales' migration goes according to nature's plan, they should make about 82 miles a day. That will put them in Baja California around the end of January, still in time for the winter season. Greg LaFave, CNN, Point Barrow, Alaska.
That's nice to see. We've been watching that for a long time.
Yeah, we have. And imagine going from Point Barrow to Baja California.
They'll be sweating down there.
Really? It'd be really way too warm for
It'll
them.
be kind of interesting to see if they come back.
Yeah, I don't know if I would. If I was going down there, you never know.
Say hi to your friends from a distance. We had a nice morning, but it is clouding up even as we speak.
Well, you did call for the increasing clouds, and that's what we're seeing right now. And we're going to see the cloud cover even thickening a little bit more, even some showers developing tonight. Let's look at what happened over